In today's video, we'll be learning about if-else in Python. And with the help of Python code, we'll be covering basic if-else, multiple conditions in if-else, and nested if-else. So, let's go! Let's start with the general syntax for if-else block. So over here, we firstly will start with our if keyword and we will write our condition. Afterwards, we will write a colon. In the next line, we will then write our code chunk which will be executed only if our condition listed over here is true. What if our condition is false? Then it will move to the next part, that is, it will move to the elif part where we write our second condition. And then in the next code chunk, this will be evaluated when our first condition is false but second condition is true. If our code has failed the first and the second condition, then our code moves to the else section where whatever cases have been failed, then this code block will be executed. Let's understand this with the help of an example. To start simple, let's create our variable called x is equals to 5 and we will write our if-else chunk. Our if-else chunk is like if x is greater than equal to 10. Note over here our indentation has happened. That means our code is not starting from here. It has in fact automatically given a space. So we need to be mindful of this space. Here our if chunk starts. So if x is greater than equal to 10, I will write print x is a big number. Let me run this part. Here nothing has happened because currently the value of x is 5. But let me change the value of x to 20. And if I rerun this code chunk, it has printed this statement. Note, I have not written any elif or else statement because they are optional or they depend upon what kind of code you want to write. Let's take another example. Currently, our value of x is 20. Let's see what happens when we are writing an else clause. If x is more than 10, then x is a big number. Now to write the else clause, notice as soon as I press enter, our indentation is still here. But notice in our syntax, else starts from position number 1. That is, it should not have any space because it's a separate code chunk. So over here, I'll write else colon and then I press enter. Notice here, because I have started an else block, that's why an indentation has happened over here. Let me print x is less than 10. So currently our value of x was 20, that's why it has printed x is a big number. Let's see what happens if I write x is equals to 2 and then I again run this code chunk. See, it has now moved to the else part. Firstly, this code checked if x is greater than equal to 10. When it realized it has failed, then it moved to the else part and then it ran this code. Let's try to write this code with an elif clause as well. Let me copy paste this code chunk and over here before my if and my else, let me write an elif clause. See, while writing elif, we do not need any indentation because elif is a separate code chunk over here. So let's write elif and now this elif will be executed only when this condition x greater than equal to 10 fails. So let me check elif x is greater than equal to 5. Then colon and press enter. Now I'll write print x is a medium number and over here let me change x is a small number. This line of code checks firstly if x is greater than equal to 10. If it is true, then it will go to a big number. Then it checks is x more than equal to 5 or not. If it is more than 5 but less than 10, then it writes x is a medium number. And then lastly, it goes to the else part only if these two conditions are false. So currently our value of x was 2. That's why it has printed x is a small number. Let me write the value of x as 7 and then let's see how does this if, elif and else work. So let me write x is equals to 7 and let me paste this code over here. See, currently the value of x is 7. That's why it is printing x is a medium number because this condition became false That's why it did not print this thing, but then it moved to this part. Let's try another case with this code chunk. Let me write x is equals to 20. And now if I rerun this code chunk, it has given us x is a big number. This is because when if else chunk finds any condition which becomes true, like over here this became true, then it will not run subsequent steps in the elif or else part. Let's talk about how do we write multiple conditions in an if else block. Suppose I have got a number, let's say x is equals to 200, and I want to write an if else code chunk which returns any particular print command only when the value of x is between 100 and 500. Otherwise it returns any junk value. So let's write it like this. If x is more than 100 and x is less than 500 colon, then print x is in range. Now for the else block I can write else print x is out of range. So over here in this if condition, because the value of x is 200, so this condition was satisfied, that's why it printed x is in range. This AND keyword over here denotes that the conditions listed in this if statement, they both must be true. However, what should we do when we want at least one of the conditions to be true? For it, we use the OR operator. So for modifying this, let me write it as vertical slash over here, and let me write either x is less than 100 or x is more than 500. And if I print this thing, currently it's checking is x either less than 100 or x is more than 500. Since our value of x was 200, that's why it has printed x is out of range. You know, if else is not only used for printing, but it is also used for assigning values. Let's take an example over here. Suppose if this condition is true, I will print x is in range and I will give count is equals to 1. However, if x is out of range, I will write count is equals to 0. Thus, if here it has printed x is out of range, but here we are creating another variable called count, and the value of count depends on this if else block. So let's see what is the value of count now. Currently our count is equals to 0. This is because currently the value of x is 200 and this chunk has failed. That's why it did not execute this block, rather it went to the else clause, and here we have defined our value of count as 0. Let's talk about nested if else. Nested if else is nothing but when an if else chunk is written inside another if else chunk, that becomes nested if else. Why do we use it? Because it allows us more levels of decision making within any condition. Let's take an example. Suppose there is a retailer who provides discounts on the basis of the age of the buyer as well as if the buyer is a premium member or not, for which we have two variables. One is age and second is a boolean value, which is premium member or not. Suppose our customer is 25 years of age and is a premium member. I have copied this nested if else code chunk over here. So how to read this code chunk? Firstly, that's the very important part. The first part is here it checks the very first condition is if age is more than 18. Then it runs this entire code chunk. How did I identify this thing? Because of the indentation. If this condition over here fails, then it will move here, and then for members who are less than 18 years of age, it will run this code chunk. So nested if else works like if it will check firstly a member is 18 years of age or not. If it is true, then it will check another further condition. That is, if the member is a premium one, then you will get a 20% discount. However, if the person is above 18 but not a premium member, then they will get a 10% discount. Similarly, if the person is below 18, here this else clause runs only when this condition is false. Then it will come here, that is for people below 18 years of age. Those who are premium members, they will get a 15% discount. However, those who are not premium members and are below 18 years of age, they will get 5% discount. Let's run this code. And we see our age of the member was 25 years. That's why this code chunk will be executed. Similarly, the person was a premium member. That's why over here, this thing got evaluated and returned. So this was all about if else in Python. If this video was useful to you, do let us know in the comments below and like and subscribe for upcoming content. Until then, see you soon.